GameSHOUT, a company of Red Planet LLC. All rights reserved. Executive producer, Andy Hodges. For live broadcast booking information, syndication, or advertising, email info@gameshout.com. All comments expressed on the show are not necessarily those of GameSHOUT, Red Planet LLC, its advertisers, guests, or syndication affiliates. All music is licensed by ASCAP and BMI. Recordings of this broadcast prohibited without prior written consent. GameSHOUT Radio. The show is brought to you by ATI. Get your new X800 Radeon card today. And BFG Servers. For game server rentals, visit BFGServers.com. BFG Servers, where size does matter. GameSHOUT Radio, the #1 talk game station in the world.
You're listening to Xbox 360 News with GameSHOUT. I'm your host, SexyJosh. We have a lot of Xbox 360 news today, and we'll be having a review of King Kong for the Xbox 360 with TrickNeal coming up in a little bit. Starting off, Microsoft confirms Xbox 360 shipping delays. According to a spokeswoman from Microsoft, retailers are being told today not to promise any 360 pre-orders until after Christmas. It's informing retailers that it will try to supply and meet the pre-orders by Christmas, but there are no guarantees. Eventually, Microsoft will catch up on inventory demands, which seem to be blamed on the shortage of chips to complete Xbox 360 orders. Some consumers who have an Xbox 360 are having zero problems with their units, while other consumers have reported defects such as scratching discs, overheating problems, and power supply problems. There's still a class action suit pending from a Chicago man against Microsoft, saying that they shipped defective merchandise knowing that there were problems. If you did pre-order an Xbox 360, Microsoft is now saying that you may not receive your unit in time for Christmas. However, there is a larger chance that you will have the unit after late December, maybe early January. Xbox 360 flagship fighting game titled Dead or Alive 4 has received yet another incremental delay. Tecmo of Japan has just pushed the Japanese release back to December 29th, while the US retailers are still listing the game at December 22nd. The game was originally meant to be a launch title alongside a December 10th release of the Xbox 360 in Japan, but was then pushed back to December 17th. Currently, DOA 4 stands as the sole December release for the Xbox 360 in America, but if further delays crop up, the system may go for a month with no new games. Microsoft recalls their Xbox 360 backward compatibility update. A new update from Microsoft's growing list of Xbox games that are compatible with the new Xbox 360 was released on December 8th, but the update has already been removed from official servers following compatibility issues discovered with games already covered in the original backward compatible roster. Several games in Ubisoft's Tom Clancy licensed series, including Ghost Recon, Ghost Recon 2, Ghost Recon 2 Summit Strike, all the three of the Splinter Cell titles, including the original and Pandora Tomorrow and Chaos Theory, and both Rainbow Six 3 as well as Rainbow Six 3 Black Arrow were included in the new update. As with other games released as backwards compatible profiles for the Xbox 360, the new titles were playable in increased resolution and widescreen support. However, those who installed the update discovered that it took away such support from important title Halo 2. After updating the backward compatibility list, Halo 2's graphics were only available in the standard 4:3 resolution, a jump back from its previously upgraded 16:9 rendition on the 360. Microsoft has since shown the compatibility upgrade, or has since removed the compatibility upgrade, presumably in order to post a corrected version with full Halo 2 functionality restored in the near future. Also, for those who are playing Halo 2, a new matchmaking list has been updated, taking away such gameplay as head-to-head, major clan match, taking minor clan match, and turning it into a just regular clan match. Team Snipers is now ranked, as well as several smaller additions. Check it out at gong.net for the full information. So now Xbox 360 has launched in Japan. Microsoft Corp has launched the Xbox 360 in Japan, is counting on the online gaming capability and high-definition graphics of its Xbox 360 console to win a new following in Japan, a key market in its quest to compete against Sony, who still stands as the dominant video game console maker. Microsoft, which has a distant third in Japan with its first Xbox, held a launch party for hardcore gamers in Tokyo's Shibuya, a trendy shopping and entertainment center. Microsoft is selling only the premium Xbox 360 package in Japan. It is priced at 37,900 yen and includes a removable hard drive that lets owners play games written for the first Xbox. Microsoft is expected to easily surpass that number with its follow-up console, which will have the market all to itself for several months, while Sony and Nintendo ready their next-generation PlayStation 3 and Revolution consoles for launch next year. If you want to check out these news stories and more, go to GameSHOUT.com, and you can see all the news stories that we talk about right here on the GameSHOUT Xbox 360 News moment. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, TrickNeal will have his review of King Kong for the Xbox 360.
Millions of people love Newegg.com. Go on that website and check it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. There's a whole testimonial page. People are using the L word when it comes to Newegg.com. They say love. I love Newegg.com. How is Newegg.com earning this kind of devotion? Well, they sell computers, components, and electronics. That's true. But it's the great price. It's the huge selection. It's the fair shipping. And it's because the customer service is so great. They actually care about your satisfaction. They have video cards, routers, wireless networking equipment, DVD players, hard drives, software, digital cameras, and unbelievable fair shipping. So, I can't sing the praises of Newegg.com enough, and neither can anyone else. So whether you need a motherboard or the mother of all TVs, go to Newegg.com. You'll see what their millions of happy customers are raving about. Once you know, Newegg.com.
And welcome back. This is the Xbox 360 News with GameSHOUT. You can check out all of these news stories that we've talked about at GameSHOUT.com. And right now we're going to be going into our review of King Kong for the Xbox 360 with TrickNeal. Trick?
Thank you, Josh. Peter Jackson's King Kong is a bold attempt at innovative gameplay, but it doesn't quite live up to expectations. And it's based as closely on the movie as is possible for a video game, and the story is like this. You play Jack, part of a film crew who's been shipwrecked on Skull Island, a place untouched by modern civilization or even evolution for that matter. As you progress through the game, you spend most of your time trying to get yourself and sometimes fellow crew members from place to place as you discover the horrific dangers of the island and eventually escape back to the good old USA. And just to make every diehard fan crap their pants, you also get to play as King Kong, but don't go breaking out the Depends because he's not all he's cracked up to be. The gameplay is fairly simplistic. Your primary weapon will be a spear, or many spears by the time you get to the end, and you'll also be able to pick up a few guns, but only one at a time, and if you want to use a gun, you'll have to drop that cumbersome spear. See, ammo's very limited on the island, so your gun won't really be the most reliable weapon. And when you consider that you'll be facing some pretty large foes, namely the V-Rex, or rather V-Rexes, the spear doesn't really seem like a very smart weapon either. Except that in this game of survival, you don't have to kill your enemies to escape their large appetites. All you have to do is spear another animal and throw it as a tasty distraction. Another handy weapon is the use of fire. You can use it to burn enemies out from under bushes, or sometimes you actually have to use it to solve a puzzle and get yourself on to the next stage of the game. Also, you have teammate AI that will help you to open doors and stuff like that, but even though I didn't personally experience any problems with that, I've heard a lot of people are experiencing some bugs in that department, so keep your eyes open for that. Another reason the gun isn't necessarily the best weapon in the game is that there's no heads-up display. None. Instead of picking up a gun and seeing in the corner of the screen that you have 3 rounds left and 4 clips on your belt, Jack simply tells himself if he's got a decent amount of ammo or if it's running low. And this is a little irritating for us die-hard FPS players, but since this is a movie adaptation and not a kill-em-all shooter, the lack of the HUD really pulls you into the story. The only drawback to not having the on-screen reminders is that there's no health meter. Instead, when you're hurt, your breathing becomes more labored, and your view becomes increasingly redder. Now, not only does this not give you a very accurate idea of how badly you're hurt, it also makes it harder to see and thus return an attack. Now, as for playing as Kong by himself, that mode of gameplay, it only makes up about a quarter of the total game, and each of his missions are pretty much simple: run from here to here and, get into a fight with a dinosaur along the way, or maybe smash a car when you're in New York. And I mean, as for the New York missions, I was really hoping those later missions would have I was hoping they'd be a lot more like the Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, but for the most part, you're just kind of running from place to place, and it's not like as fun as you would expect it to be. The graphics are spectacular, with realistic-looking environments and well-modeled characters, but a lot of the movements feel a little too computer-generated and take away from the stunning display. The sound, once again, is amazing, not only for its use in helping you know how healthy you are, but the deafening roar of the V-Rex is great for getting your blood pumping. I gotta say, the good points of the game have to be the graphics and the sound for sure, and I really like getting to use a first-person perspective without the fake HUD getting in the way. The bad points are that a lot of the animations are too choppy, and the game itself is really short and has little or no replay value. I'm going to have to give it an overall GameSHOUT score of 7.5 out of 10. Josh?
Thanks, Trick. You can check out that review and any news stories we've talked about today at GameSHOUT.com. It's GameSHOUT.com, your #1 source for all video game news, reviews, and previews. Well, thank you for joining us today. This has been the Xbox 360 News with GameSHOUT. Stay tuned. We still have more coming up.
Oh, you caught me doing it again. Working right here on GameSHOUT Radio. This is Captain Maverick. I'm your host for the wacky news from around the world. Now, the wacky news from around the world is just like it sounds. We bring you the most insane, wacky stuff that we can find from all over the globe. And we bring it to you at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday through Thursday, live on GameSHOUT Radio at www.gameshout.com. Now, you can also download the podcast later and listen to it later, but that may not be as much fun as listening to it live. So I want you to be able to, kick in with your comments through the IRC channel and well, we like the interaction. Plus, hey, if you run across a good news story that you think might fit the wacky news, well, email it to me. I'm at news@gameshout.com. That's right. Wacky news from around the world, Tuesday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Captain Maverick. Only tune your server to talk